So being cool here is with Kevin Martin from Candlebox. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. So congratulations on the new album, Wolves.
Thank you. It's finally coming out.
I bet you the fans who started the pre-order in 2019 are pretty excited as well, right?
Yeah. Some of them are pissed, but yeah. Hopefully most of them are excited. You know, it's funny. I think that the society we live in nowadays, when people put money into something, they want it instantaneously, and when they don't get it, they don't take kindly to that. So it's been a bit strange for us to kind of try and you know, the beasts, if you will. So,
Well, I mean, you know, the pandemic was a pretty good reason to push everything back there, you know?
well, you would think so, but a lot of people don't think so.
Now, when you're making new music these days, I mean, do you do it just because you love making music? I mean, it's not like you're going to make a ton of money releasing stuff these days.
Well, I think mainly it's because I enjoy it. Yes, I enjoy making music, and I enjoy the process of hanging out with my boys in the studio and being creative and you know, getting ready to get out there and, you know, play these songs. I mean, I like having new material, you know, to not only record but to play live. I mean, it's a real, you know, it's a joy to get out there and play, you know, 2 or 3 new songs in front of an audience that has no idea, you know, what those songs are, and to kind of see what the response is. So I like, you know, I like that part of it. That's really kind of why I do it. But yeah, you're right. I'm certainly not going to sell hundreds of thousands of albums and make millions of dollars off of it. But you know, music is who I am, and it's who I've been since I was, I don't know, probably about 6 or 7 years old. So I'm very grateful that I get to do this, and I love the fact that I have an audience that will let me do it.
Now, I read somewhere before that, like, if you sell a T-shirt, that's equivalent to like 7,800 spins on streaming services. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is.
It's got to be a crazy thing. I mean, especially for you who's been in the business for over 30 years to see how it's evolved from selling hundreds of thousands of CDs in the first week to now, like, you know, people basically just wanting this music for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange world when you get your royalty checks for streaming services and stuff. It's a bit of a chuckle, but you know, long gone are the days where you could sell, you know, 200,000 records and make $1 million. It's a different world, and I mean, as society's grown, our desire to be patrons of the arts has kind of fallen by the wayside. I mean, you know, I was born in 1969, so I still believe in purchasing music. I pay for all of my streaming services. I pay for the ultimate. I pay like whatever $24.99 a month. But I still feel bad about that because I'm not physically buying those albums. So every chance I get, if I happen to be in a town that's got a great record store, I'll go and, you know, pick up 2 or 3 records of my favorite bands, just because I love that process. But it is a strange world we live in where people can just get whatever they want at the, you know, the swipe of a thumb.
And they expect it, you know. I mean, they get angry that you're like, oh my God, I have to pay for this. They don't understand that this may be the best job in the world, being a rock star, but it's still a job. That's how you make income.
Yeah.
Now, how has the band evolved over the last 30 years? I mean, when you make music.
We think we know what we're doing now. I mean, it's funny. When we started doing this, you know, I think all of us kind of, you know, thought, oh, we're a rock and roll band. This is how you write a song. And then, you know, you do, and you have great success with it. You're like, oh, look, we can fucking do anything. Then you write another record because, yeah, that's good. You know, I think the main thing is that ego is no longer a part of the process of writing with Candlebox. It used to be, you know, whose song could get on the record, who was doing what in that song, how involved was was I going to be with the guitar parts or the drum parts because I'm a drummer, and and then those feelings would get hurt if I sat behind a kit and kind of came up with something we were trying to work on, and or if I picked up a guitar, that type of stuff. That always kind of would be an issue, and that doesn't happen anymore. I think we've all grown out of that, and certainly, I mean, I'm writing with new musicians now. I'm working with new songwriters. I'm experiencing new things and learning a lot about myself as a musician, but also as a human being. So I don't take this job so serious anymore. I actually enjoy that process. And that's something I didn't really do when we first started, because I wanted to make sure that everybody liked me as a singer. I wanted to make sure everybody thought I was a good songwriter or a good lyricist or a good singer or a good person. And now it's just, I do it because I don't know anything else. And I don't focus so much on whether or not it's a great, song in my opinion. If it feels like it's going somewhere and I'm enjoying that, then I'll just go with it, rather than trying to stop it, pick it apart and say, well, this should be here and this should be there. I just don't do that anymore. I just kind of let it happen. And that's something that I've had to learn over the past, honestly, 25 years of writing.
Now, how hard did it hit you when you first heard one of your songs on a classic rock radio station?
Well, being a classic rock artist is something you never want to be. It's funny. I mean, when I hear myself next to Bob Seger and stuff on these kind of classic rock stations, I have a chuckle. Listen, at least it's there. I guess that's the main way to look at it is at least the record's still out there. People still pay attention to it. Of course, it's the first album and it's one song, but that one song has allowed me to continue to do this for 30 years. So I'm not looking to get horse in the mouth with that at all.
No, dude, it's amazing. It just funny to me sometimes when I'm sitting there and I'll hear something I listened to in high school. I'm like, what the fuck is this doing on this radio station, man? I'm still young, goddammit.
Yeah, I feel you.
Now, there's been talks in interviews over the past few years where you talk about retiring, man. Is that still something that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I would say in a few years, I'll put this away and just focus on being a husband and a father and a business owner. And, I'll occasionally go out there and play acoustic shows as Kevin Martin of Candlebox or something, but I don't foresee myself doing this at the age of 60. I'm 52 years old now, and that's a pretty good career, 30 years plus of making music. So I've said it a million times, but I think I'm pretty much prepared to take that step in a few years and be done with it.
Now, would you say the pandemic helped even influence that even more, spending all that time with your family?
I'm sorry?
I said, would you say the pandemic, the lockdown, even influenced that even more, being able to spend all that time with your family?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I would say that 100%. I mean, it's been amazing to be here. I mean, that's the bright side of this pandemic for me was that I got to spend a whole solid 22 months with my family, and at a very important age for my son. From 12 to 13, that transition, and 20 years now with my wife, and actually, being a parent and a husband and a father and a teacher, and all those types of things that my parents did with me when I was growing up. So it was certainly a catalyst for the thought creeping into the back of my head, but it will probably be the catalyst for the actual decision when I do make it.
So you're saying you don't want to have a final tour and celebrate your 72th birthday on stage like Gene Simmons did yesterday?
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, I'm not Kiss. I'm not making that kind of money, and it's pretty silly. I mean, I'm heartbroken that Charlie Watts has passed. I love the Stones. I've seen them several times. I know why they're continuing to tour. That's what those guys are made of. But they're also making $1 billion a year, and it's a really hard life when you're a musician like myself or in a band like Candlebox, where touring is your only real income. You don't sell records. So like we were talking about earlier. So is it worth it to, yes, because the fans love you and they want to see you play these songs, but emotionally and financially, it's an incredible burden to tour at a level that I have to tour at right now. It's very, very, if somebody in this band gets COVID on this run we're doing in September and October and I have to shut this tour down, that's going to cost me a small fortune. And that's something that I have to look at every time I go out there and every time I make a record. So I think unconsciously, that's what's telling me to do this. And subconsciously, it's the relationship with my family and not wanting to be away from them anymore. Certainly not after this last year of I've lost a couple of friends to COVID, sadly, and this is something that I don't want to. I don't want to break me or break anyone in my band. I don't want anybody to get sick. And so, it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in what I'm saying to you right there. And I apologize about that. But, I don't know, man. Charlie Watts passing the other day was a big deal to me because I'm a huge Stones fan and I emulate the way Charlie plays when I play drums. And, I just want to make sure that I'm home as much as I can be for the remainder of my life. How much longer am I here? Mortality is something that's staring me in the face, and it does that when you cross that threshold of 50.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a scary thought when a fellow musician passes and they're still out there being on the road and things. It's got to be thinking, oh my God, is that going to be me one day?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, speaking of touring, I've noticed on this run that you got coming up, that's like one of the longest runs that you've done in a row. What is it, like 7 weeks?
Yeah.
Now, is that because you got to just buckle down and take your chances of what's going on? You haven't been able to tour for the past almost, 2 years now?
Yeah, exactly. We have to, financially, it's really, honestly, and to speak frankly about it, it's the only way financially that I can make it work. And I'm, that's when I used to do these 7-week tours or 8-week tours or whatever they were back, when I was in my 30s and stuff, it wasn't a problem. But, I didn't have a wife at home and I didn't have a son, that was waiting for me to come home and I didn't have other obligations. Now with everything that's going on in the world that we live in and what's happened over the past year and a half, I've got to be very, very conscious of that, and very frugal. So I had to have a long conversation with my wife about, listen, I know I haven't done this in about 10 years, but it's the only way I can make this work to earn a living and feel as though I'm being somewhat responsible in this family for the finances. My wife has a clothing line that does very well. And, thankfully that's what's kept us afloat over the past 22 months. But as a man, you want to feel as though you're participating and you are, carrying the burden of that finance. And I guess it's old fashioned for me to say, but I was also raised by, a father who stormed Omaha Beach on June 6th of 1944 and a mother that, worked at Sears when my father was sick and couldn't work. So, I understand the value of family.
Now,
being home.
Are you taking extra precautions on the road? I see so many bands that are getting COVID after a show or two. Are you making sure you're not being around people?
Yeah, we are. Our fans aren't happy about it, but we're not doing meet and greets. We're not doing VIPs. We're not doing any backstage. There's no comp tickets, which is the first time in my career that I've ever had to do that. We just can't afford it. I can't afford for someone in my band to get COVID or for me to get COVID and have to shut this tour down for 10 days to quarantine. We were in Wichita this last run we did, and there were 2 tour buses parked next to ours in the morning, and it was the Avett brothers who had to cancel 2 shows because someone either on their crew or the venues that they were going to tested positive. And that's 2 days of sitting in Wichita, 2 tour buses at $1,000 a day, not to mention what you're having to pay your crew members per day, all those types of things, man. it's heavy duty, and yeah, so we're masks everywhere. We don't interact with any of the crew at the venues, which is unfortunate because I know a lot of these guys at these venues were playing, and we don't go out. We play the show, we hang out in the dressing room, shower, clean up, whatever, and then we go straight to the bus and head to the next town. So we're being as overly cautious as we can, and frankly, we've had a couple of instances where people, yelling at our crew guys on stage, take your fucking mask off. You don't need a fucking mask. It's just rude. It's like, I haven't worked in fucking 18 months,
Right.
I have a fucking, a moment to make some money, please.
Exactly. It's crazy that you're going ahead and you're risking your life basically being on the road to make money for your family and make your fans happy. And you're making sure you don't die doing it,
Exactly.
So yeah, I could definitely see the frustration in that 100%. Now, you recently had to cancel the show over COVID. Was that your choice, or was that the venue, or how did that work out?
That was a promoter. He had Michael Brown. He's a good friend of mine. He's got these great venues in the Midwest there, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Wichita, Kansas. And he's a really, really good promoter. He's a great guy. He's honest. And he called me and said, "Listen, man, we got 20 beds in the entire state of Arkansas available in the ICU. It's peaked here. It's spiked. The last two bands that they had come through there, both tested positive for COVID. He's not sure if they got it there, but he just was like, I don't want to bring this here. I don't want to bring you guys here in this position. I certainly don't want to put any more music bands in the position of catching something either, because Arkansas is one of the states that is, the bottom three that have chosen to get vaccinated. So he asked us if we wouldn't mind postponing. And of course, we knew how it was going to look, and we got a lot of those posts on our Facebook page. To talk about, health of people, it's more like lack of ticket sales. It wasn't a lack of ticket sales. We had sold tons of tickets for that fucking show. And it's not a big venue. It holds fucking 700 people. It's for your health and well-being, fuckwit. But you can't tell people that in this day and age, because everybody's got a pulpit in front of them, and everybody knows more than the next person. So, yeah, that wasn't our choice. That was the promoters.
Man, I got to give you tons of credit for going out there and doing it. I get nervous when I go to the grocery store and someone fucking stands behind me, let alone being on stage in front of thousands of people breathing on you.
It's scary, dude. Thank you. Yeah, it's scary. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Now, I've got a chance to listen to a lot of the tracks from this new album, man, and it is some great stuff there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, one of the songs is getting a bit of controversy, and that is "In Your Hands." But that's not the first time that you've written about guns. In 2016, you wrote "I Got a Gun."
Yeah, true. It's I have my opinions, and that's all they are. It's obviously not an opinion that a lot of people want to hear or care to hear. But this song, "I Got a Gun" was written after Sandy Hook, and then Parkland happens, and I happened to be in Florida at my friend Don's house, Don Miggs, who actually wrote "My Weakness" on the new album as well. Don's a great friend of mine. I actually consider him to be my best friend, and a great songwriter. And I happened to be visiting him in Florida at his studio, and we watched the Parkland shooting unfold. And I just turned to him. I said, "Dude, we gotta write something about this. These poor fucking kids, man. That's not something that I ever had to worry. I had to worry about tornadoes in school,
Right?
Tornado drills and fire drills. I didn't have to worry about some, fucking kid with a gun coming into my school and blasting away at some other student or myself, and he's like, we should. And so he actually stayed up and wrote the song. And then I woke up that next morning, came downstairs with a cup of coffee. He's like, "Hey man, the song's done. You want to listen to it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he played it for me. And I was like, this is fucking intense. So I wrote the lyrics right there, right then and there. And I said, let's track it. He said, what? It's 10 a.m. I said, dude, let's track it. Like, I'm feeling it. Let's track the fucking song. So that's a 10 a.m. vocal on that song. And frankly, it's not a negative. It is it's a song about, you know, honoring the fact that people are losing their lives to this instrument that is just designed to do one thing. So I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to understand that, or to be afraid of that, because it's merely my opinion. I'm not saying that guns need to be taken away from people. All I'm saying is this is happening at a rapid pace, and at what point are we going to do something about it? You know, for the sake of the children. You know, and of course, then you know, last week some toddler shoots his mother in the head during a Zoom meeting. I mean, because the guns let down. This is an epidemic. This issue with guns, and if you're a gun owner and a responsible gun owner, good for you. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. That is your right in this country. But for those of us who have chosen not to have those guns in our homes or places of business, or in our cars, you know, anywhere driving down the fucking street, where is our protection from that?
Right. I totally understand, man. I mean, I for one think the track was amazing. It had a great message. And I don't know. I just don't understand how people are so fucking soft these days. You can say anything and you're going to have a million assholes out there with their opinion saying why you're wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, shit, go post The Sky's Blue today and listen to how many people tell you you're a dick. It's green.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I've seen that you did is a bunch of cover tunes, man. I mean, they've been amazing. You know, you did Loverboy, you did Buffalo Springfield. Is there any chance that you might do a covers record?
Well, we talked about it, but I don't know. I mean, I just like doing it for the fuck of it. I don't ever really focus on, you know, let's do a whole album of this. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about doing a whole record of protest songs when everything was going on back last March when COVID started to kind of kick in. As a group, we talked about doing a full protest songs album of covers. But that kind of soon went by the wayside. We just kind of, I don't know, I think the conversation was, why waste our time? Because nobody's really going to fucking listen to what we're trying to say. I mean, we did For What It's Worth, which is a pretty poignant song about, you know, what was going on in the 60s and the 70s and you know, in Ohio, and, you know, kids getting shot for being college students, and, you know, and now in this day and age, you know, Black Lives Matter thing, and we got a bunch of grief about it, you know, because of the video. So it's just really, I don't know, man. I guess I've lost some faith in humanity and certainly in society, and I guess maybe that's why I probably the main reason we didn't do that protest song album. And I'm also, I just don't want to take the time to cover a bunch of songs that I love. You know, I'll do them live, and which I enjoy. We figure them out at sound checks and stuff. But to really dig in and do these things, I mean, I would want to make sure we could, you know, we would do them differently and not better than the original, but different, and offer a different kind of flair to it. It seems like what we've done, like even with For What It's Worth, that was kind of a different take on that song. We produced it differently, we played it differently, I sung it differently than I believe it's Graham Nash that sung that. Or Buffalo Springfield, was it Graham Nash? Anyways, so I would want to make sure that we could take the time to represent the song in a different way, and that takes a lot of energy, to be honest with you. I mean, the songs that I would want to do, I would really, really want to dig into those and try to make them different. And what we've done with these covers, certainly the Loverboy cover, was basically just an homage to Loverboy, because I love them and I think they're amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just because I don't want to take the time, to do that, to take the time away from my family and really dig into that, because I would need to be in a studio with the guys for a couple of weeks to really make sure that those were done the way I would want it to be done. Does that make sense?
100%, man. I totally get what you're saying. I mean, I love your versions. I love what you did, and I could tell you definitely put a lot of work to get it the way that you wanted it to sound, for sure. Now, let me ask you this, man. Is it frustrating as an artist these days that you got to basically watch what you say or what you write about because people fucking cry over a drop of a hat?
Well, I don't pull any punches. I mean, I don't know if you've seen my Instagram, but I certainly say whatever I feel. I mean, I've had people say to me all the time, you should run for Congress or something. I mean, fuck that, man. There's so many skeletons in my closet, not to mention things that I've said publicly and that are on record that I wouldn't get through the first round of votes. But I think that's because I was raised to respect myself and defend myself if I feel maybe attacked in any sort of way. And my opinions don't necessarily, they're not right. I'll tell you that. I mean, opinions are opinions, and just because I have one doesn't mean I'm right. But I do feel that it's my obligation as a human being to offer those opinions when I feel it's necessary to do so. But I will be the first one to also acknowledge when what I've said is wrong, and I will also be the first person to acknowledge that other people may have opinions about what I've said, and respect that. When I wrote "I Got a Gun," I got a bunch of hate emails about it. My son served in the military, blah 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 blah. How dare you? I've been a supporter of yours for 20 years, and I just wrote back, my father stormed Omaha Beach June 6, 1944. I know what you're fucking talking about, and this isn't about you or your son. This is about a school full of children that got wiped out by an AR-15 and a lunatic. So I'm sorry you're making this about you, but it's not, and that's how I handle it. You know what I'm saying?
100%, man. I mean, I wish more people were like you. I mean, you're not afraid to say what's on your mind, but you're also respectful in the way that you do things.
Thank you. Well, I try.
Now, over the past 30 years, man, you toured with some amazing bands, but looking at the list of things, one tour that stuck out to me is the time you toured with Metallica. I mean, how did you get hooked up with them?
That was an interesting one. I think at the time it was supposed to be Metallica, or Suicidal Tendencies, Candlebox, Alice in Chains, Metallica. And it was because our record at the time was moving like 100 some odd thousand views a week. We had, I believe we had the number 7 album on Billboard when we started that tour with them, or maybe like the number 10 record in Billboard's top 200. So I think it was a conscious decision with their agent and our agent and their management to maybe bring a band out on the road that kind of sits with Alice in Chains, sort of, both Seattle bands. And that, we could, because they were playing large fields. I think the smallest show we played with them was maybe 20,000 people. So, you got to move some tickets, and the more bodies you have in the venue, that's the more merchandise you're going to sell and the more money you're going to make. So I think they realized that having us out there would bring a little bit different kind of credibility to the last tour they were doing on the Black Album, which at that point had been out for 3 years. And then Lane Staley went into rehab, and Alice pulled out. So we became direct support. And I don't think Metallica expected us to do as well as we did, and I don't think we expected ourselves to do as well as we did on that tour. But it certainly opened us up to an entirely different audience, and you know, we had the people throwing shit at us that hated us, and we had the people that loved us. So I guess we were doing something right.
For sure, man. I mean, had to been an awesome experience regardless. I mean, obviously you're going to get assholes no matter what you do, but at least you won some people over for sure.
Yeah.
Now, people that are listening to this, they want to follow up. They want to get the album. They want to buy some tickets for the tours. They want to order some T-shirts and shit, some merch. Where do they go? What do they do for everything?
Candleboxrocks.com. That's where everything's at. That's where all the links to every one of our socials are. And if you write to us, you're writing to us. I'm probably the one answering your questions and shipping your shirts out and stuff, because I firmly believe in having my finger on the pulse of my business and my band, and I don't believe in having management handle, you know, all that kind of the fans interaction thing is very important to me. That responsibility that rests on my shoulders.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to see it's actually a band this time. I mean, sometimes you write some shit, you pour your heart out sometimes, you know, and you get a generic response, and it's just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the new album. I wish you the best of luck on this tour, man. I hope everything goes well. You stay safe, stay healthy, and do what you can to protect yourself.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It was great chatting with you.
You too, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, you bye.